All right, y'all, let's watch the official statement from Joni Lamb addressing the circulating allegations and leadership changes. Of course, they turned off the comments. I was hoping they were going to leave it on because I was very curious to see what was going to happen in the comment section, but they turned them off. So anyway, let's watch, let's react to what Joni had to say.
Everyone, I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family and friends. Recently, Daystar made the decision to terminate my son, Jonathan Lamb's employment. That decision was not taken lightly. It followed a 15-month review of Jonathan's performance and his refusal to take any steps to satisfy a detailed performance improvement plan put in place. He also refused my offer to participate in a formal mediation to resolve grievances in a biblical and professional manner. Rather than take any steps to improve his performance at Daystar, it seems clear now that Jonathan...
Is she reading something? I'm just wondering, because it doesn't look like her eyes are looking at the camera. It looks like it's looking up at the camera, which is typically where you would put a teleprompter. I don't know why we can't just have these conversations just candidly and just speak from the heart. I understand there's a lot of legal allegations that are circulating, so you have to be very careful with your words. But when it comes across that you're reading from anything, it just feels so disingenuous, and it further adds to the speculation. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, let me start over. Maybe I'm just tripping.
I wanted to take a few minutes today to speak from my heart to the Daystar family and friends. Recently, Daystar made the decision to terminate my son, Jonathan Lamb's employment. That decision was not taken lightly. It followed a 15-month review of Jonathan's performance and his refusal to take any steps to satisfy a detailed performance improvement plan put in place. He also refused my offer to participate in a formal mediation to resolve grievances in a biblical and professional manner. Rather than take any steps to improve his performance at Daystar, it seems clear now that Jonathan was focused on fabricating a smear campaign. You see, Jonathan was extremely disappointed that he was not named the future president of Daystar following the death of his father and my husband, Marcus Lamb, despite the fact that Marcus had given a clear directive to the family and to the board that I would succeed him as president. Jonathan's disappointment in not getting his way only deepened when I married Dr. Doug Weiss, who has been such a blessing to me, the rest of my family, and Daystar. I can tell you that as a mother, as a grandmother, this situation saddens me deeply, and it grieves my heart because I love my family. I love all my children. I love my grandchildren. I love the work we've done together for so many years. And I had hoped that we could have resolved the situation in private. But now, Jonathan has given me no choice except to speak out. Everyone knows that we have dedicated our lives to spreading the love of Jesus. And to see it attacked by my son Jonathan and his wife is truly heartbreaking. I want to assure you that all the allegations that are circulating against myself and my late husband are completely false. We have already begun to take legal steps to defend ourselves, and we will address the accusations in a God-honoring way.
Bro, this is absolutely blowing my mind. You're about to sit in court against your son and your daughter-in-law. This is blowing my mind. And the fact that this video is only 2 minutes is crazy. You don't think that this situation deserves more than a 2-minute and 39-second response? This is crazy. This is wild. This is wild. The fact that this is such a public dispute between a mother and her son. And then you open it up by saying, so you pretty much confirm the speculation that a lot of people thought, is that Jonathan was upset that he wasn't chosen to take over the company when his dad died. And because of that, he's alleging that there was assault against his daughter and his wife, your granddaughter and your daughter-in-law. So you're saying that he did all of that, all of those allegations, simply because he was upset that he wasn't going to be able to take over the company? I don't know if I'm completely on board with that idea. I can understand it. Jealousy can make you do some crazy things, especially when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars potentially, especially when you're talking about the potential of leading a company. Because I'm sure from Jonathan's standpoint, he was preparing to take over at some point. Like he had to have known that this day was going to come, that his dad was going to pass away, and he knew that it was probably going to be him. So I'm sure that he had a vision already in mind of how he wanted to take over and what he wanted it to look like under his reign. So I get that side of the argument. I get that side that he might be salty, and he probably is salty. But to then fabricate allegations of abuse and you involve your child in those allegations simply as a smear campaign to take down the company that your family built, I don't know if I'm completely on board with that idea. That sounds crazy.
Stand firm in our faith, knowing that God is with us, and his purpose for Daystar is far greater than any present challenge we may be facing. While this attack is very painful and wrong, I know that our battle is not against flesh and blood.
I'm sorry. Screw Daystar. Fix your family. Screw Daystar. I'm sorry. We talking about business. We're prioritizing the business. And people are going to say, well, Nick, it's a ministry. At this point, bro, it's this thing is becoming toxic to the point you're about to sit in court and sue your family members. These are serious allegations involving the children, involving your daughter-in-law. This is serious stuff. I'm sitting here like, bro, whatever. Like, how can I make this right with you? How can I get this? How can we make this right? That's just how my mind is thinking. Like, let's put the business aside. Let's put, the ministry aside, because clearly something is going on that is tearing this family apart. And this dispute that we're having so publicly, we need to figure this out. I mean, against
a spiritual enemy who seeks to destroy and divide no matter what the cost. I want to ask you for your prayers. Thank you for your continued love and support. Our team here at Daystar will keep you updated. Again, thank you for your prayers. God bless you.
That did not sound great. I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say when I say screw Daystar. I'm saying it from the standpoint of don't prioritize it over your family. Do you think God, is this what we're thinking? Are we believing that God would want us to prioritize? I mean, I guess I could see it. I could see in some cases where God would want you to prioritize the ministry over your family, right? I mean, you see instances in the Bible where Jesus is telling them to leave their family to come with them, or to come with him to pursue this ministry, right? I get it. I understand that argument, but I'm just talking about in this situation. This is some serious stuff. I feel like you need to get your house in order first before you try to continue building and growing this ministry. You got to get your own affairs in order, get your house in order, get everybody back on the same page and focused on God. This is crazy. This is crazy. That's literally, so this is not doing very well. 100,000 views. How can I see how many dislikes a video has? Hold on. I don't know if I can see how many dislikes it has. I'm just, what? That was strange.
I went to.
That was strange. Hold on. That was strange. Hold on. I'm trying to see if I can get any more commentary on this. What is this? This is a list of things Joni required Jonathan to do to keep his job. Where is this from? I don't know. How do you know that this is accurate? Who posted this? I'm so confused. Okay, 1 second. I have a list. It says the requirements for Jonathan and Susie in order to keep their job. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I found it on X. Give me a second. Let me see if I can try to figure out if that's accurate. What is this? Oh, this is a new video from Julie Royce. Let me see.
While Daystar TV, Jonathan and Susie Lamb claimed that they were spiritually abused.
Hold on.
Refused to read a listener comment.
She says is God in Daystar. This is.
Hold on. Let me just read this because I can't play the music. From Julie Royce, November 25. She's the voice of God to you. Joni Lamb, Jimmy Evans accused of bullying spiritual abuse. During their time at Daystar, former Vice President Jonathan Lamb and his wife, Susie, say they were repeatedly spiritually abused and bullied by Jonathan's mother, Daystar President Joni Lamb, and her allies. Most blatantly, they say Joni ambushed the couple by bringing in Christian heavy hitter Jimmy Evans, founder of XL Marriage, for a meeting on July 11, 2023. Not only did Joni shame her son by telling him his wife had him by the balls, quote, but Evans pressured Jonathan to submit to their mother, claiming she had God-like authority. So there's a video of him saying that. I'm not going to play it just because, well, whatever. Let me just play it. I'll figure it out. I'll edit it for you guys. Hold on. Let me play it. Where's it at?
God after you're from her?
Outside of Daystar, what she says is God.
Here.
Evans pressures the couple to submit to Joni, claiming she has godlike authority.
And submission means she's the voice of God to you. And I said,
I'm sorry, can you clarify? She said she's the voice of God to me?
she's the voice of God.
So
to you.
God's voice is.
So I have to hear, I can't hear from God after you're from her?
Outside of Daystar, what she says is God in Daystar. This is the voice of God in Daystar.
So what accountability does she have if she's off?
Well, she has a husband. She has a board.
I'm on the board.
Yeah. But you're not, individually, you're not her accountability. Individually, you're her employee.
For more information, see the article.
Wow. So he said, so what accountability does she have if she's off? Great question. The contentious meeting came about 2 years after Jonathan caught a family member in a compromising situation with his daughter and accused him of assaulting her. Jonathan and Susie claimed that Joni and her late husband, Daystar co-founder Marcus Lamb, immediately defended the family member and declared him innocent. This caused a major rift in the family, but a few weeks later, in late August 2021, Marcus told Jonathan and his brother-in-law, Jonathan J.W. Wise, that an internal investigation had cleared the family member. The couple found out much later about critical deficiencies in that investigation. Then, in November 2021, Marcus died unexpectedly from complications related to COVID. On June 10, 23, Joni married Doug Weiss, a sex therapist and repeat guest on Daystar TV, who's no relation to J.W. Wise. Doug had filed for divorce from his wife of 30 years on January 27, 2022, just 2 months after Marcus died. That is weird. That is very weird. That is very weird. And according to Jonathan and Susie, the meeting with Evans in July 23 was an attempt to bully the couple into publicly supporting Joni's second marriage. A family divided. According to Jonathan and Susie, none of Joni's kids or their spouses agreed with Joni's marriage to Wise. They all believe Wise lacked the biblical grounds for divorcing his wife, and that by marrying him, Joni was committing adultery. Just 2 months before the wedding, a longtime friend of Daystar, Denise Boggs of Living Waters Ministry, wrote an impassioned letter to Joni's family, urging them to intervene. Boggs not only knew Joni well, but also had counseled Doug Wise and Lisa Wise just prior to their divorce. Boggs wrote that she had voiced concerns about Wise to Joni, but she refused to hear me. Now, Boggs said Joni was under a spirit of deception due to Wise's influence. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing, Boggs wrote. He is of no caliber for such a high platform, she added. Joni didn't endorse divorce until she came under his deception. Using the Daystar platform, the enemy has successfully mocked the marriage covenant using one of the strongest Christian TV networks in the nation. Jonathan told TRR that he gathered his family to confront Joni 2 days after receiving the letter, but Joni allowed each person no more than 60 seconds to share their heart. She says all she sees from us is fear and rushes out of the door to go fly off to New York with Doug, Jonathan said. After Joni and Doug Wise were married, Jonathan and Susie remained uneasy about the marriage. But on July 5, 2023, they were asked to read a viewer comment on air praising Joni's recent marriage to Wise. The couple refused to do so because they felt it would give tacit approval to the marriage. Their refusal apparently deeply offended Joni. This prompted the meeting with Evans, in which Evans and Joni equated Joni's wishes with God's, and Jonathan and Susie opposition with Satan. In his 2017 book, Broken Trust, consultant and pastoral coach Remy Dieterich writes, spiritual abuse happens when people use God or their supposed relationship with God to control behavior for their benefit. Wow. Wow. Jonathan fired from Daystar. So after the meeting, Jonathan wrote an email to Joni that he felt trapped in an impossible position. Things are completely out of hand. I never thought in my life I would be put in this position. We urgently need to meet about this matter. Joni replied that for now, payroll isn't being affected, and said she would let Jonathan know when she's ready to meet on this issue. Over the next 18 months, Jonathan and Susie say the intimidation and threats from Daystar intensified, culminating in Jonathan's termination from Daystar on November 16th, 2024. We will cover the details on what happened during those 18 months in our next story. TRR reached out to Daystar with specific questions regarding this story. Daystar replied that Joni would be releasing an official statement. In the statement released this afternoon, the one that we just watched, Joni accused Jonathan of fabricating a smear campaign because he was not named future president of Daystar following the death of his father. Joni also accuses Jonathan of attempting to blackmail his way into becoming the future president of Daystar and released a portion of an email from Jonathan. We remain willing to put, so this is a portion of the email from Jonathan, I guess. We remain willing to put this episode behind us. However, we also require security, transparency, and certainty about our futures at Daystar. To achieve this goal, we would suggest that Joni, Daystar, and ourselves enter into a new contract that clearly spells out my future as president of Daystar, restricts the ability of Joni or any other officer or director from taking actions adverse to our employment without good cause to be clearly defined and without prior approval of the majority of the board of directors. In exchange for the agreement contemplated above, we will agree not to use, disseminate, or otherwise publish any and all audio recordings that could be harmful or embarrassing to Daystar, Joni, or our family. According to Jonathan and Susie, the commitment not to publish audio recordings was not blackmail, but a response to 13 stipulations Daystar gave the couple if they wanted to be reinstated to their previous positions at Daystar. Okay. I guess this takes us to the stipulations that I was talking about that I found. Let me see what these are exactly. Oh, it's the same thing. Okay. I guess these are the 13 stipulations. Okay. Let's read them. So requirements from Jonathan and Susie. Number 1, will keep disagreements about theological opposition marriage to themselves privately. Will keep disagreements about theological opposition marriage to themselves privately. So you're asking them not to share their opinion on the theological stance of marriage on a Christian platform with millions of listeners. Okay. Number 2, will keep disagreements about Doug's divorce to themselves privately. Number 3, will accept the existence of the marriage, support her in the marriage, and accept the fact that Doug is her husband. Will keep disagreements about the marriage to themselves privately, and to keep any and all negative feelings or opinions they have against Jimmy Evans to themselves privately. Number 4, will accept her decision to make Doug co-host. Number 5, will keep any objections to Doug being co-host to themselves privately. Number 6, will make no social media posts about Daystar, which includes their employment or Joni's marriage issues or Doug's divorce issues, without the approval of CEO Mr. Calendar and Arnold Torres. So the first 6 requirements for them to keep their job all have to do with Doug and Joni's marriage to Doug. Number 7, delete Jonathan's sabbatical posting and all comments to it off the internet. Number 8, delete any other social media post by Jonathan and related comments that allude to any of the items 1 through 5 above. Wow. Crazy. Number 9, Susie has posts on social media that have no names but can be interpreted as referring to the sabbatical, Joni's position at Daystar, the marriage that affects Daystar, and must be deleted. Number 10, Jonathan must make a statement approved by Joni, Mr. Calendar, and Arnold that expresses support for Joni. The sabbatical is over, glad to be back, returning to ministry now. So you just want puppets. You don't want an honest platform. You don't want individuals on your platform that have differing opinions. You don't want to be challenged when it comes to the theological standing of your marriage and the concerns that your son and daughter-in-law may have. You just want puppets on air to say whatever is being fed to them and nothing more. How would you expect anybody to agree to these stipulations? Of course, anybody in their right mind would have to decline these stipulations. Number 11, must agree to destroy all recordings of meetings with Jimmy Evans and Joni, and any recording of Joni talking privately with Joni and Susie over refusal to read on air. Number 12, must agree to destroy all Susie recordings of private comments Joni shared with Susie about sex and marriage involving Doug. Number 13, there will be no discussions with any programmers, viewers, partners, or any other third parties concerning the items listed above. Joni agrees to A, allow Jonathan and Susie to return to ministry now. B, Jonathan and Susie will not be required to read statements about the marriage or publicly endorse the marriage. C, Jonathan and Susie will be given the opportunity to rebuild trust over time and earn back other involvement. One of the stipulations asked for the couple to agree to destroy all recordings of meetings with Jimmy, Evans, and Joni, and any recordings of Joni talking privately with Joni and Susie over refusal to read on air. Jonathan added that his reference to his future role as president of Daystar was not an attempt to usurp his mother's position. Instead, he was referring to the succession plan his father had outlined, that if Joni passes or retires, then Jonathan would become president. I think he's concerned that if his mom passes, then the new husband is going to take over. I think that's the concern here. And I think that's a rightful concern, in my opinion. Especially if you believe that that person is not fit to have that platform in the first place. So you believe that that person is not fit to have that platform in the first place. And then on top of that, there's a chance that this individual might end up controlling the entire company at some point in time. I think if that's truly his conviction, then he has reason to be concerned. However, both Jonathan and Susie noted that these negotiations happened before November 18th, 2023, when Denise Boggs revealed to them that the internal investigation had not cleared their family member of assaulting their daughter. At that point, the couple said they no longer cared about their jobs, but wanted justice. Okay, so I believe, because I was confused when I first read this. Where is it at? So this was an email from Jonathan to Joni, where he said, "We remain willing to put this episode behind us." So I was confused about that. The reason why is because how can you put it behind you if your daughter was assaulted and there's no accountability being taken from your family members? But I guess this email was written under the assumption that the internal investigation had cleared their family members of any involvement of assaulting their daughter. But then it says, November 18th, 2023, Denise Boggs revealed to them that the internal investigation had not cleared their family member of assaulting their daughter. At that point, the couple say they no longer cared about their jobs but wanted justice. Full email excerpted in Joni's official statement. So this is an email from Jonathan, written on October 3rd, 2023. It says, Daystar has always been our calling. For the sake of the kingdom and Daystar, we are willing to work to put this unfortunate episode behind us. The list of demands we received, however, let me zoom in so y'all can read too. The list of demands we received, however, are overreaching, inaccurate, and missing essential terms that we view as a prerequisite to moving forward. First and foremost, we agree that trust must be rebuilt and that it must be rebuilt slowly. We are committed to walking this path. Our convictions, biblical beliefs, and moral values are not going to be dictated, controlled, or otherwise impinged. This episode began because of Joni's need to control our biblical convictions to suit her personal choices. We will not compromise on our biblical beliefs and moral convictions. We are, however, willing to keep those beliefs to ourselves. Wow. We are, however, willing to keep those beliefs to ourselves, and we can agree not to share our thoughts about Joni's marriage to Doug on air with our viewers, with staff, or on social media. To be clear, moving forward, we will only share and read statements on air that we approve and that is in line with the truth. That's a lot right there. I mean, you're saying that you agree. You're saying that you're not going to compromise on your beliefs and your convictions, but you're also saying that you're not going to talk about it on air. So in some form that you are compromising because you're not talking about it on air. That's interesting. But I mean, if your attempt, I guess if the attempt is to build back the trust slowly, as he said, then I could understand why he said that. I can understand why he said that. It's just an interesting statement to make. Susie would never share and does not possess recordings of private conversations with Joni. Susie is owed a letter fully reinstating her to all her previous roles at Daystar. During the meeting with Joni and Jimmy Evans, Joni perpetrated to fire Susie and promptly removed her from all appearances on Daystar. This was pretty harmful. This was petty, harmful, and disappointing action. A repair must be made. We remain willing to put this episode behind us. Okay, so this is just, so his mom just shared this bottom portion. We remain willing to put this episode behind us. However, we also require security, transparency, and certainty about our futures at Daystar. To achieve this goal, we would suggest that Joni, Daystar, and others enter into a new contract that clearly spells out my future role as president of Daystar restricts the ability of Joni or any other officer or director from taking actions adverse to our employment without good cause to be clearly defined and without prior approval of the majority of the board of directors. In exchange for the agreement contemplated above, we will agree not to use, disseminate, or otherwise publish any and all audio recordings that could be harmful or embarrassing to Daystar, Joni, or our family. Lastly, our social media accounts are our personal property. They do not belong to Daystar. They will not be controlled or censored by Daystar. Okay. So I guess he's saying like, yo, we could still talk about whatever we want to talk about on our personal social media, but when it comes to being on air with Daystar, we'll stay out of your marriage. I guess that's kind of what he's going with that. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Once again, this is an article from Julie Roy's. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. All right. Get in my comments. I'm out, y'all.